his melodies, his chords, they just grow on you after a while, and you realize, wow, this is a really good song. And a lot of that is attributed to his weird, open guitar tunings. They allow for a much more spectrum of sounds. It's hard to explain, but it just allows him more freedom without having to obey the basic, laws of music.
He had like Honey, which I hope was for singing, and he had about, it was just, I remember it was just completely bizarre. Not a single set of strings.
That's an open E minor tuning, which is good for like more like Latin stuff. I just have this obsession with old acoustic guitars. So I tuned this one to the open A, which is another, probably my, the other standard Ed Hale favorite. So a lot of songs like Veronica were open A.
Still tune his guitars, I still change his strings. All for the love of music.
If you could just keep buying guitars, and then you could say, okay, you're the open G, and you're the open D, and you're the open D9, and then the possibilities are really endless for you.
Rise and Shine came after a brief hiatus from making music, after a lot of frustration in the business, with the business, not really with music. And it got to the point where I was so sad when I thought about music. Instead of equating music with joy, I was starting to equate music with poverty and rejection and, that type of thing. So I literally took every instrument I owned in the world and put it in a warehouse and didn't play music for about 2 years. Not only did I not play music, I didn't listen to music, and I refused to let anybody listen to the radio around me, and I refused to have anyone put on VH1 or MTV in the house, because that would just make me feel so bad. So it was just like no music for 2 years. And but then I heard this Brazilian CD, and it was just so beautiful that I opened the booklet to look at the lyrics, and I started reading the translation of what their lyrics were saying, and I just broke down and started crying, and started playing the guitar again, and I started getting really inspired by music. So that's where Rise and Shine came from.
It was more of an experiment. We mixed a lot of world styles, a lot of different genres. From track to track, it varies a lot.
Trey Cool was really cool because I was just strumming those chords, and then the idea of not writing a song that had a story came to me, which was, I thought, a cool idea, as opposed to writing a story, which is all the other songs I'd ever written before.
Laptops, MTV, Amber Sailor, deep bass sail, swimming holes, my day runner, Trey Cool.
I thought were cool, not in a contrived manner, like what would, you know what I mean? Not things that were cool, but just things that I thought were cool.
Martin Scorsese, Jim Morrissey, Cypress Hill, and the Beasties. Trey Cool. Here we go now.
There was this producer who said, look, I know you had to get Rise and Shine out of your system, Eddie. I'm a big fan. If you let me produce your next album, you're gonna have to do it my way, and we're gonna make a rock album, because I think you can rock.
Ed was hell-bent on making the lyrics about sex, drugs, rock and roll, you know? The three elements to rock and roll, you know, the foundations.
When Ed and I got together, I just thought that I could help him by structuring the songs. You know, Ed, I think, is a brilliant songwriter, but as most talented people are, they're not left brain and right brain. So they can't organize their thoughts very well. That's why artists usually need producers. So we proceeded to cut out minutes of songs where there were no vocals and things like that, so we could get from the verse to the chorus and back to the verse, you know, so people didn't get bored.
So I'd kind of switched, whereas, you know, before Caetano Veloso was like a big hero of mine, and then Hugh Hefner became a big hero of mine. So I started really getting into the concept of free love and, you know, erotica and, you know, just like love. I was really inspired by sex and by love and by art.
I just Googled Sleep With You just to see what was out there. And, you know, you have 60%, 70% of the reviews out there just slamming it. Are you an idiot? You put a naked girl on the album cover and then you open the song saying, just let me in your pants, I'll give you anything. And then the whole song is filled with references to drugs and sex and all that. That obviously can make you feel like you don't want to be honest anymore in your music, and you just want to kind of hide. And like a lot of bands do, they don't put pictures of themselves on the album, and they just hide behind all their little drawings, and they make it real ambiguous and whatever. Whereas on Sleep With You, it was really important to me to really open up. Like, that's why we did the photo shoot in my bedroom, you know, with a girlfriend who did modeling. It was all really like come into my world and try to make it a super intimate experience.
With Sleep With You, I didn't get my way, you know, and that's part of who I am, you know. It's always about the artist when they come in the studio. I just want them to be happy with what they leave here with, and if I had my say, I wanted the record to be more, you know, a deeper record, focusing on songs like Vicodin and Beautiful One and Watching Shira Cry, as opposed to Sleep With You and Mini Driver and Superhero Girl. Of course, those are the ones that the radio people wanted to promote that I didn't even want on the record.
I was just sick of the whole public perception that I was like this kind of intellectual art type guy who didn't have the gutsy rock and roll thing, because it's just, they just didn't know. That was their ignorance. I've been doing the gutsy, dirty rock and roll thing for years before. So that's where Sleep With You came from. I wanted to kind of say, okay, you know what? We can rock.